well, they didn't make it, but who cares what they're going to say? Do what's best for you, and then you're going to be the best version of yourself. All right, folks, so Canadians are leaving in record numbers. Having said that, why are they leaving? Why are they not happy? Is it because of this cold weather and we're heading literally into June and I'm in a thick jacket? Or is it financial situation, or because they're not connecting anymore? Let's take that into consideration. However, which of these provinces is actually the leading province? Can you guess? Well, you don't have to look into it too much, but look, Ontario is being definitely hit and people are leaving, right? So I have a couple of real stories that I would love to share with you, and we'll talk about that. So, but generally speaking, to whoever I speak to, they cannot find that middle ground when it comes to balance, right? So either it's you're working and you're working so hard that you don't have time for anything and it's hard to catch up to everyone else, or it's you have everything else but you're lacking everything else, right? It's like you might have money, but money doesn't make you happy, right? Necessarily, right? So people that have money probably know that. A lot of things are easier with money, I understand that. But it's having that maybe inner peace or having other luxuries that they might not find currently in Canada, right? But let's get into these stories and let's just talk about that. Hi. All right, so comment from my last video. I see you're in Mississauga for credit. Everything is so expensive here. The home prices are almost like Toronto prices. I'm 27-year-old single guy with no kids or wife, girlfriend, few friends, conservative spender, and I'm just saving up to move out of this country. Mediterranean Europe, South Asia, Latin America, all looking interesting places to move. I don't want to waste my life in Canada 9-to-5 rat race. The stories that you're telling are stories I've heard from many people in GTA, right? So this is obviously interesting. I'm sure you maybe feel this way yourself. Maybe you know somebody that feels exactly like that, right? Like that some of these things are not reachable. And I get that, like, right? Like real estate is expensive anywhere you move. And it is kind of adjusted or balanced with income and everything else, right? However, I find that many cannot find that peace because they're missing that other element. It's not only owning a home, it's owning a home and plus something, right? So please comment below because I'm trying to find the other plus, what it is, right? All right, so let's get into something else here. So I've had a mortgage for 2 decades. I'll paying just as much in my final 5 years as I did in my previous 5 due to interest rates. My property taxes are up, insurance is up, condo fees are almost $700 a month, food has gone up, transportation has gone up. Only that only thing that seems down is my will to be Canadian or even be a part of the G7 country ATM. I don't own a car or I'll be down in more debt, right? So you see, like, people are struggling, and probably in this case, this person is solo, is alone. However, they had a mortgage for 2 decades, right? So it says something about that, right? Like you've been working on something for decades and you still cannot make it, man. Come on. Are you kidding me right now? Right? So one of these things, I think people are waking up to everything else and they're saying, look, enough is enough. And if I have to readjust maybe somewhere else to get that something that I'm missing, and I'm willing to do it, right? And I'm sure these people are thinking the same way. Like, I'm not gonna go somewhere else and it's gonna be, you know, roses every day, right? Might be sunshine, but it's not gonna be easy, right? So like just connecting these dots, to many of these people, it's also quality of life. And I think that's what's missing here, right? Like, don't get me wrong, Canada has many good things going for them, but however, the quality seems to be diminishing as we go. So let's get into more comments. Oh, this one is pretty long, to be honest with you, but it is interesting, and it goes back to the 90s, right? And many folks that don't remember the 90s, they kind of talk bad about the 90s. They're like, it's not gonna happen this time is different, yada yada yada, all of that nonsense, right? But whoever went through that understands that it can hit, and if it hits bad as it already started, it takes a long time of that choking, right? So, and it can take years, it can take decades for stuff to turn around. So let's get into this long comment, but very valuable comment. All right, in 1998, end of last crash in the west of Canada, I had a distant contact who wanted me to buy him out a farm, as he had 2 mortgages on his place. His payments made me nauseous. His desperation was heartbreaking. His wife and him were working non-stop off farm and farming as well, cattle and crops, but still going under. They wanted me to take on title with them to help them bail out, as it wasn't selling for anywhere near what they owed. I looked at it and determined that I gave the money and return they put me on the title. I would be paying so much for what? I would just be giving them cash to burn. The farm would never make enough to carry itself. The payments of the mortgage were enormous, and it was just a drop in the bucket against the debt. They're so under the weather, walking away, all they could do. He gave the bank his farm and basically walked away. They sold it eventually under foreclosure, and he declared bankruptcy so he could at least keep what he had. People in the 90s couldn't sell for anything in some cases, and they were forced to just abandon their homes after struggling to survive and then trying to sell for years. This is a fact. I appreciate you sharing this life story, and I know it's a long comment, but it's definitely valuable, and we can all learn from the past, right? Like, we obviously have to look towards the future, but I mean, like, to me, it's like this current situation, what we're going through since the 2022 and the stagnation of the prices and the entire situation, what's going on, it will last a long time, right? So what's a long time? Could be another 5 years, could be another 10 years, could be another 3 years. However, if you don't have a plan, and most people, when I speak to them, they don't have buffers, right? And all they can do is literally go into more debt. That's how they solve a problem. So I tell them respectfully, check this out. Let's say you poop your pants, right? And I noticed that, and I say, look, you pooped in your pants, man. And then you say, yeah, no problem. And then you go into the room and you come back and you change your shirt. That's what it feels like. They're not changing their situation. They still have poop in their pants, right? So sometimes there's obviously fate, and there's the other segment of having that conscious calculation. What if I don't sell? What if things don't change for 6 months? What about 6 years? How can I get out of this, right? So changing your shirt and appear from the top that everything is fine is not going to change the fact that you still pooped in your pants. All right, so let's continue. All right, so this comment says, first off, as usual, your videos are like therapy. Thank you so much. Financial therapy, but with fewer tissues and more fruit bombs. Honestly, if I had been a subscriber back in 2022, I might have saved a former childhood bestie from jumping headfirst into a bull trap from hell. But insightful 2020, mortgage or not, like she's getting into the whole story. Well, it is what it is. Maybe it is never too late. Maybe you can share this video to someone else. I read your comments. I know you shared my videos before to your friends and whatnot, and I want to thank you. However, this is the situation. I mean, we're all going through these tough times, right? And sometimes the best way to look at the situation, it's to look at it from the right angle. That's the most important. What is it? Don't lie to yourself. If you're making 5K a month and your burning rate at 7K a month, well, you're burning $2,000 deficit. Like you it's either you find a way how to patch it, but just don't rely magically to fall from the sky. It's not gonna happen. On top of that, nobody is out there coming to save you, period. I mean, you know it. Like, I mean, previously nobody came. In fact, if they come, they want a piece, right? Everybody's a shark. So think about that, right? So anyways, let's move on. Sorry to say, but the bubble burst will be a lot worse than in 1989 and 1990 bubble. A lot of bankruptcies and divorce loading. Unfortunately, they don't learn this type of literacy in schools. Yes, so yeah, when it comes to the financial issues and problems in a household or a family, it is very, very, very hard on couples. It is hard on kids. It is hard on everybody, especially if they're tight. And it seems like more and more families are being tight, right? Like they're only a few $100s from a bankruptcy. Like, this sucks, man. Like, this sucks, right? And you're constantly fighting that uphill battle for how long, and you're losing and all of that stuff, right? So it creates tension. And I just want to say, like, you know, for couples, married or not married, with kids, without kids, chill, sit down, make a tea, make a coffee, relax, 10 minutes, analyze. All right, analyze. Don't listen to anybody. Analyze yourself. Where are you at? You know your situation the best. I don't know what's in your account. I don't know what's not in your account, nor it matters. But you know math, basic math helps. Just put it down on a piece of paper and say, look, let's put our egos aside. Let's put all that BS aside. What do we really have to do in order to get ahead? And what's ahead, right? I mean, some people live in a big house that they don't need. So at one point they thought they were ahead, but maybe that's a burden today. So maybe it's time to downsize. I know your friends or your neighbors or whoever will say, well, they didn't make it, but who cares what they're going to say? Do what's best for you, and then you're going to be the best version of yourself. All right, so let's continue. Let's see this here. People in my neighborhood have homes listed for $899,000 up to $1.1 million, and similar houses on the street sold for $695,000. It is comical. Probably same people that pushed all kinds of agendas. Well, look, at the end of the day, we're getting to that hope stage, right? And how it works psychologically most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, is like, look, they had to sell. That's number one. They had to sell. I don't have to sell. Well, if you put a for sale sign, you probably want to sell at the minimum, and then eventually you're gonna get to the part where you have to sell. However, moving forward, now we get into the second part where it's like, well, you know what? They sold at a weird time. because at that time they sold for $695. Now my house, on the other hand, it's totally something different. It's magical. It's worth 1.1, right? And then you have an agent that's probably half confused, right? Walking into your meeting, trying to give you a greasy deal, and that's fine. You do whatever you got to do. But I'm saying, and they're agreeing with you on top of that. That's the issue. They go there and they're like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, 1.1, I agree with you. Don't agree. If you don't think so, say it. No, sir, ma'am, friend, whatever. It's not worth it. Last comparable, $695, right? $695, 1.1. Why? What's different, right? If they can prove to you, right? And if you can prove to yourself, based on numbers, based on feelings, yeah, things can change, things can tweak along the way. Bigger lot, better here, better there, not so good, up and down. That's why we have comparative market analysis, right? CMAs. So we come to a conclusion. And then usually that house would sell for the current market value, not an imaginary market value. All right, so I think I'm gonna leave you with this right now, and it is definitely a $1 million decision. It could be $1 billion decision for some of you, but however, you have to go through it. I mean, like, you have to own your own life one way or another, right? And money is a lot of things in life. Like, don't get me wrong, everybody loves money. Money is power. Money is so many things, but money also is a burden if you have debt, right? So if the money is making you money, that's a different story. But if that initial money is giving you a bigger hole, then what are we talking about? Money doesn't mean nothing to you. Money is just a trap, right? So anyways, I hope you got something out of this video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.